Good morning. I'm Peter Jones. This is a report about for the PrinterNet affiliates group, and we're going to switch to a new format. I was reporting in a sort of visual style before. I'm going to report more on this basis to camera, and we're also going to work on a monthly basis rather than on a weekly basis. That means that on a weekly basis I can spend more time on actual projects rather than reporting. Hopefully that's a good move. We'll find out. It's possibly time for a change. Had time off recently where I needed to recharge, rest, reflect, and think about how do we continue moving forward. So here's the report for the end of April, beginning of May, and I'll just get to the right place. I still feel that in the community people are introducing themselves and moving much too quickly to, can I have some money? That's really not what we're trying to do. We need people to introduce themselves, to explain what they're doing for the community, what kind of partnerships would be helpful for them, demonstrating to an extent the resilience that they already have. And we know that Africa's sometimes a tough place to be and live. And then eventually, fine, yes, we all know that money will help. But we want it to be a particular type of money. It's not like giving people some fish and they are fed for a day. We want to teach them how to fish so that they can feed themselves, for the foreseeable future. So we have some instances of that recently while I was away. So I still feel that that's something that people need to understand. This is a gradual process. It's not a give me some money situation. So that's something that I will continue working on. I think the other thing is about leadership that we typically do focus on. And what I see, I know people like Jonas, for example, very, very good at bringing people together on specific tasks. And he's getting people to work on permaculture, regenerative agriculture in Malawi. Now that team building is actually a really important component, as is working in a team. Just saw some posting from Fidelis, who's based in Cameroon, and he's actually part of a team in Cameroon where, in this case, they were harvesting cassava. And part of that sort of team aspect is a service attitude. It's what can I do for my community? It's not what can my community do for me. It's what can I do for my community? Saw a post this morning, somebody was saying, I need a laptop. Well, okay, fine. What are you doing for your community? Where people might say, look, okay, I can see I'm not just helping one person, I'm helping the wider community. And that's an important feature and aspect to bring in. So, and I think the other thing is that we're looking to have people, if they benefit from learning themselves, as you may know, we had 2 courses that we were running recently. Given that the courses are useful, and it may not be that the whole course is useful, but if an aspect of the course is useful, doesn't it help to be able to train other people in that learning so that they can also benefit? Again, it's about not just one person, but the wider community. And that attitude about helping others, training others, helping others to learn, to grow, it's just so important. And it's also important in terms of people bringing money, because they want to know that the money will be spent not just on one person, it will be spent on the wider community. So that's just something that I want to focus on again in the coming weeks and months. With the solar project, we have identified the need. We have people who have said, yes, we want solar. Lots of people have. Obviously the food sustainability, the food security is the first and foremost need, and things can challenge that at times in Africa. And Rosanna is somebody who, is focused on that, and I hope that I can work with Rosanna on food security to improve that, where Africans need that. And the other point about the solar program is that we need to, again, it's back to this trust factor. If we know that people are going to behave in ways that benefit the whole community, and if they can sort of go along with, let's say in our case, the training program, that training program enables us to build a relationship, it builds trust. And it's also something we can show to other people who might come along and go, okay, well, how do we get involved? I know with Canon that there are people who are crypto-based people who are interested in what Canon is doing. So I want to bring those people and get them to meet Canon. Canon's got some issues at the moment which we need to try and resolve, which mean that he actually can't meet the people in the crypto community. But I want to, if I can establish those partnerships, those relationships, bring in buddies, then there are things on the web, such as there's a structure called Glassdoor. There's a communication channel called Twitter. You can put those two things together in order to be able to access funding programs. It's difficult for one person to do all of these things, so this is why I'm looking for buddies. And this is more and more a recurring theme for me. So that's kind of where we are with solar. I want to try and take the next steps. I know that Jonas is frustrated with me, and he's been a long time waiting for something something tangible to emerge, and I understand that. It's just that I don't quite have the capacity to do everything that I want to do. So hence my focus on trying to find buddies who can take those next steps on behalf of people in Africa. And just on that subject of crypto buddies, there's an organisation called Banklists who have a particular project running called Banklists Africa. They are quite new; they're still setting up, but they are very focused on this. There is an overall program that Banklists Africa have, which they are just proposing the next steps for themselves. What I'm trying to do is get a proposal that reflects PrinterNet folk and their projects in Africa, and I'm trying to mingle those two things together. First of all, the Banklists Africa program, but also PrinterNet Africa projects. There is crypto funding available. We would need to make sure that can be exchanged for local currency wherever the project is happening in Africa. So again, that's work that's ongoing, and I by switching the focus a little bit and focusing on a project by project basis and reporting kind of more on a monthly basis, hopefully I can make some better progress on that. So back to the biointensive program. Rosanna has a program on this already. Where I think maybe that could use some help is in delivering that with the technology available. Facebook being what it is, there are limits in what people in Africa can see, and that's part and parcel of Facebook. But we may need to change the format, I think, with Rosanna about what she's doing so that it becomes more accessible in Facebook. It would be helpful to get some feedback about that, as to how accessible what Rosanna is doing is in Facebook. I suspect there are limitations. If we can get that feedback, it'll help us to be more specific. So we do have this format, which is Facebook Live. It's still not what we would hope for because it's not interactive. I can talk to people this way, but I can't. It's not really interactive. I can't have people asking me questions. By the way, I'm aware that Jose is watching Atoiniere. I'm aware that Caroline Olang is watching. If you want to ask questions, I will be able to see the questions afterwards, and I'm happy to answer the questions afterwards. So please ask questions. Unfortunately with Facebook Live, it's kind of a one-way broadcast. So it's me broadcasting, but you can ask questions afterwards and in the text chat that's attached. So and the idea eventually is that we get a lot of stuff off Facebook up into YouTube, where then people are much, much more visible. So that could be you, Carolyn. It could be you, Jose. I'd love to get Jonas up onto YouTube, and that's two aspects. One is the personal introduction. Second one is individual projects. So if you can take a video camera around and show people what you're doing, it's going to make a big difference. I can then try and get that up into YouTube for you. Start with Facebook Live. So, if you've got the capacity to work with Facebook Live, start there. And I think we can get that up off Facebook and onto YouTube. Okay, so that's that one. As mentioned, from a governance perspective, I've, for the moment, I hope not permanently, but for the moment, I've lost Elsa, and I've lost the people that I was working with, which is a shame. And I think some of that was that I work in a particular way, which I don't think necessarily suits other people, which is a shame. So I need to find people who are happy with the way that I work. As I say, we're going to switch to monthly reporting. That means that weekly I will have a project focus. So I aim to do this type of session on a project by project basis and explain more about what is happening for each project, and then report across the whole thing on a monthly basis. It strikes me that there's a lot that needs doing, without question. And that's difficult because that makes the scale quite big. And in my case, I have limited capacity. Hence, this renewed focus that I have on seeking partners, but also by conducting this type of presentation and encouraging people to ask questions, I'm seeking proper accountability. And I hope that people take me up on that and ask the questions that they want to. I'm completely open. I want people to ask questions, and I'm happy to answer them. And so my call to action, I think, regularly from here on, is that I need to seek partners for all activities. I mentioned earlier about John F. Kennedy. And John F. Kennedy's comment was, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. And that's something that I'm actively looking for people who want to do that. So there are some more proposals that I want to move forward with. I'm not going to be detailing those here, but I will detail those in the coming weeks. So thank you very much. Please ask any questions that you want to in the chat afterwards.